Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Stevie with Stevie Reads, and today we are going to be doing my top 10 books to read in 2024. Obviously, I have a huge library filled with books that I haven't read yet. I have a little under 300 books, I think, that I own and I haven't read yet. So clearly I have a lot, but these are my top 10, like, if I don't read these in 2024, I'm going to be mad kind of books. So anyway, I don't want this to be a super long video and give a whole bunch of synopsis, so I'll probably just tell you the book and the reason why I want to read it, and, you know, maybe I'll tell you a little bit about it. We will see. But first off, coming in at number 1, we have Atanta by Jennifer Saint. This would be my third Jennifer Saint. I really love her writing style. I have read Ariadne and Electra. Ariadne is my favorite. It was her debut novel, I believe, or at least the first one I read of her. I read it twice, annotated it so much. I love it. But Electra was also really good. Gave this one 4 stars. It wasn't quite as good as Ariadne for me, but I did still really enjoy it. And obviously when her third book came out last year, I picked it up immediately, and it's one that I've just been meaning to get to. Sad that I haven't read it, so I'm so excited. And I just love how this isn't a series, but whoever does her covers really loves her, because the fact that these spines look so good together, I'm obsessed. And then the second book on the list, this is my only reread. Like, technically the only reread on this list is going to be Acts of Desperation by Megan Nolan. I love this book and I've only read it once. I read it in 2022, so almost 2 years ago. And this is a book that obviously I gave it 5 stars and I really loved it, but it took me a little over a month to read because I read it while I was moving into this house. So moving is just so stressful. It was the first time I had ever bought a home with my husband, of course. So just like a lot of stress, a lot of, you know, packing and moving and cleaning and painting and all of this stuff. So I read this just when I could. It was a book I physically read and I just love it so much. Megan Nolan is very similar to Sally Rooney for me, where I read her novels and I'm like, this was literally written for me. Like, so good. So I want to reread this and annotate it because it's been 2 years and it's been too long. I just need to read it again. And then once I read that, I want to read Ordinary Human Feelings by Megan Nolan as well. So this book came out last year again, and I just haven't gotten to it yet, but oh my god, do I love Megan Nolan, and I can't wait to read this. This book is so tiny, and I got a signed copy. I love that for her signature, she put she just crossed out her name on the title page and then wrote like Megan Nolan with a little X. So she just crossed out her name. I think that is so cute. But apparently this book is very different to Acts of Desperation, and it is set in 1990 in London. So that just sounds like a vibe. London in the 90s, like little throwback moment. I think it would be so fun. And then number 4, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a whole lot about this book. I bought it because of Miss Chloe Bunny here on YouTube, and that's going to be Sugar Baby by Celine St. Clair. What a gorgeous name, gorgeous cover. I absolutely love it. And this is about a 21-year-old girl who, it says, Agnes Green is turning 21 and her life is going nowhere. So I imagine that she delves into the life of being a little sugar baby, and the words are absolutely huge on the page. I think it would be a pretty quick read, even though it looks like a thicker book. Just like flipping through the pages, the words are ginormous. And also, can I say, this author photo? Gorgeous. Like, she was stunting on him this day. Like, wow. I saw that author photo and I was like, wow, I want to read this book. Like, what does Celine have to say looking that gorgeous? Love it. And then number 5, 6, and 7, the next 3 books are all going to be continuing on in series. So first up, I have Caught Up by Liz Tomford. So this book is the 3rd book in the Windy City series. It is a romance series about different couples every book, and the first one was called Mile High. I don't own that one because I read it from the library, but love that one, gave it 4 stars. The second book, The Right Move, absolutely loved this. I tabbed this one, I gave it 5 stars. This book is so good. This one, apparently everyone said is good. It is the like single dad trope, and we met this guy in The Right Move. He's Ryan's neighbor, and he seemed pretty cool. He has a baby. I don't know what happened to the baby's mom. Can't remember. Maybe she just left them. But anyway, this one sounds good. He's a baseball player, single dad, so want to read it. And I just think Liz Tomford's writing is so good. She's so funny, and when you're reading a romance book, I love a humorous one. So anyway, the next 2 books, like the continuation in series that I'm reading, are also romance books as well. So number 6 is going to be Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series. The names of all these series in my head, like, I have the most useless knowledge in the world of like, why do I know all? Anyway, yeah, this one is following Cade, who we met in the first book, Flawless. I read this one in October, I believe, or I read this on our honeymoon, so yeah, it was like October, November, and really liked it, gave it 4 stars. This is like a cowboy series, so it's very like country. In this one, the main guy was a bull rider, and yeah, liked it, gave it 4 stars. So I am excited to read Heartless, and this one is a single dad romance as well. I have 2 of those on this list, so maybe I'll do like a reading vlog, reading caught up in this one and being like single dad trope for a week. But anyway, yeah, we met Cade in the first book. He's very grumpy, so I love a grumpy hero. That's really fun, and just want to continue on in this series. Like, there's 5 books, and I do own the first 4 because after Heartless we have Powerless and then Reckless, and then the 5th book came out. I haven't bought it because I'm like, I need to continue in the series before I buy the 5th book. I should probably at least read the second one. So that's my plan. Heartless is, you know, coming in at number 6, and I do want to read this year. And if I'm obsessed with this and I love it, like, maybe I'll read these too, fingers crossed. Okay, and then the last romance on the list, also gonna be continuing in a series. So this is like the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse series. I'm sure there's like a title for it, but I don't know the one for this series. The last couple months I have read Pestilence, liked it, 4 stars. I read War, really liked it. I think I gave it like 3.5, but I rounded up to 4. This one was good. Not as good as the first one for me just because it's so big, but I read it in literally a day. One day. So now I want to read Famine. That is the book on my top 10 list. And yeah, this one, I'm expecting it to be very similar to the first 2. They both kind of seem to follow a similar plot. The world is like ending because of the apocalypse. So anyway, it is a fantasy romance. Have to add that onto the list. I've been in my fantasy romance bag, and yeah, I just really like Laura Thalassa. I've read like the Bargainer series from her, and I thought that one was really good. So when these ones got new covers, I was more interested and excited to pick up book 3. And again, if I read this and love this, kind of cool to read Death. I would love to like finish this series this year, but at least want to read Famine. And then for number 8, I have Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Shepeko. So this is an adult fantasy book with vampires. Love that. Vampires are like my favorite supernatural being to read about. Like, sorry, don't really care about wolves, and fairies I'm like iffy about, but vampires always love. And this book was pretty hyped at the beginning of last year. I think it came out and everybody hauled it, but not a lot of people read it. But the people who read it, everybody loves it and says it's so underrated, and like if you own it, you need to pick it up. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I actually placed a hold on the audiobook from my library, and I think I'm gonna get it in a couple of weeks. So when that comes through, I want to listen to this bad boy. And the second book just came out, so it's actually a very good time to pick this up and read it, because if I love it, I'll just get the second book. And yeah, love an adult fantasy about vampires. And I also, when I bought it, I read the first line, and it's what like convinced me to get it. The first line is, "They never tell you it's the girls that are hardest to kill." okay, like I'm excited. I want to read it. I'm intrigued and I want to pick it up. And then number 9, I have The Weaver and the Witch Queen by Genevieve Gornichek. Either one of those, probably. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, so I read this author's debut novel a couple years ago, The Witch Heart. Loved it, gave it 5 stars. This is Norse mythology. So this book was about Loki's wife. What was her name? Angarboda. She was pretty cool to follow. I really liked her perspective, and like Loki would be a terrible husband, the god of mischief. Terrible husband to have, but you know, she loved him anyway. Love Greek mythology, love Norse mythology, any kind of mythology really. Very big fan of. So read this one, loved it. And then I hauled this one very recently at the Barnes & Noble hardcover sale. And as soon as I hauled it, I was like, kind of want to read that one. I know it's from the perspective of 2 women, one desperate to save her missing sister, the other a witch destined to become Queen of Norway. And then drum roll please, because number 10 is actually not even a book that I own yet, so I'm gonna hold up the first book, but the book on the list is the second book because it's gonna come out at the end of February, so it's not even released yet. But anyway, I want to read Empire of the Damned, so I'm holding up the first one, Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I have read this book. It is a big chunky boy, and I read this I think in 2021, like the end of 2021. So it's been a couple of years, and the second book is finally coming out. I really did myself a disservice, the fact that I read this book as soon as it came out, because I read it and I was so excited for book 2. I was like frothing at the mouth for book 2, and there wasn't even a title or a release date or a cover or anything, and I was like dying for it. And I still really want to read book 2. Like, it's coming out at the end of February. That's on my radar. I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna read it, but I probably will reread this one first, because my memory is like a squirrel. Like, I really have to reread books all the time in series if I want to be able to like comprehend what's going on in the second one, because I feel like it's a disservice if I'm just reading the second one and I don't remember anything. Like, if I'm gonna be reading a book that I'm excited for, I want to know what's going on. But anyway, the first time I read this book, I read it physically, and it took me an entire month because it is huge. It's not a book that you can like carry around in your purse and take with you where you go. Like, it's too uncomfortable for that, so I would just have to read it at home, and it took me a while, but like, I don't even care. Also, it has illustrations. Okay, another vampire book. I mean, I told you I love books about vampires, but I feel like more fantasy books should have pictures in them, because when I read this, that really enhanced the story. Like, I have a hard time picturing characters in my head sometimes, so the fact I get a whole like picture of the cast and I'd be able to picture everybody, I just love that. Anyway, I am gonna reread this one, but I'm gonna listen to it audibly because I've already read it physically and loved it. I just know that it takes me a while, and I've already seen all the pictures, but even when I'm listening to the audiobook, I'll probably still go through and look at the pictures. Like, if I know I'm on page 200, I'll like go through and look at all the pictures leading up to that. I think if I listen to the audiobook, it'll just be like a good time, a good refresher for the second book coming out. And then when the second book is coming out, I am going to Barnes & Noble like on the release day. I swear to God, it's coming out at the end of February, so I want to reread this one really soon. And then when the new one comes out, I want to read it hopefully right away. I mean, sometimes I do that with new releases. I'll like go get it, and then I'm just like, well, I'm reading this and this and this. So we will see, but I am really, really hoping to read this one. And its sequel as well. It's kind of a 2-for-1. My number 10 is kind of 2 books, but I don't even own the second book yet. So like, I'm just getting excited for no reason. So these are my top 10 books to read this year. My arms are so weak, so this is literally killing me. Empire of the Vampire is not helping at all. Oh my God. But yeah, these are the books I am most looking forward to reading this year. Hopefully I actually accomplish this and read all of them. Had to set that down. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Comment down below what you are most excited to read this year. I'm so curious, and I always love adding books to my TBR. But all of my socials are linked down below like always, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!